All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all the honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And to the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Bayat Tabada, the elect house at David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations, okay? So this is Sunday evening camp. Lord willing, that'll be edifying. And to the will and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So we're gonna start off with the book. Anyway, this camp lesson is entitled "Beware of False Prophets and Their Wicked Ways." Okay, and we got many of false prophets out here in the world. You know, like these other these other Israelite groups that, and you know who they are, as well as these wacky-tacky Christian pastors, these Catholics, Protestants, Baptists, Lutheran, so on and so on. These worldly religions that are vain, and of course the wicked, and the Roman Catholic Church as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the book of Ezekiel, the 13th chapter, starting at verse 1. And it says, "And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying," verse 2, "Son of man, prophesy against the prophets of Israel that prophesy, and say thou unto them that prophesy out of their own hearts," out of their own mind, leaning upon their own understanding. And once again, Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. Okay? We have to trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and acknowledge him in all his ways. Okay? "And hear ye the word of the Lord Yahweh." Verse 3, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing." Okay? That follow their own spirit and see nothing, that speak vanity. Okay? Verse 4, "O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the desert." Okay? They're very, a fox is a very crafty yet deceptive animal, right? Very tricky. Verse 5, "Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Lord Yahweh." Verse 6, "They have seen vanity and lying divinations." Okay, going into that, that spiritual idolatry and using witchcraft and all that other stuff. Okay, and the word witchcraft goes back to the word, the Greek word pharmakia. The pharmaceuticals, that's a form of witchcraft, but with these false prophets, they use these worldly traditions, okay? And we're not supposed to do that. Okay, let me start over. Ezekiel 13:6, "They have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, the Lord Yahweh saith, and the Lord and Yahweh hath not sent them, and they have made others to hope that they would confirm the word." Verse 7, "Have ye not seen a vain vision? And have ye not spoken a lying divination, whereas ye say, the Lord saith it, albeit I have not spoken." Verse 8, "Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because ye have spoken vanity and seen lies, therefore behold, I am against you, saith the Lord Yahweh." So he's against those who speak lies and don't speak the truth that's coming out of his word, the book. So those who pervert the word, or add from it or take from it, those are the ones that are going to suffer the harsh judgment that are in the book. Verse 9, "So the Lord is against those who are who try to pervert the gospel or try to change it." Okay, verse 9, and it says, "And mine hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity, and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel. Neither shall they enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh." Okay? So those false prophets, they're not written in the book of life, man. Okay? those false prophets, they will be destroyed. Thus saith the Bible. Okay? You know, the Lord does not want them because they speak lies. They speak lies, okay? They don't speak truth. They don't stand for his word in its entirety. verse 10, because they have seduced my people, saying peace, and there was no peace, and one built up a wall, and lo, others daubed it with untempered mortar. Okay, so you know how when you build up a wall and you daub it, meaning you you reinforce it with mortar, like concrete or so. But you know, it says right here, you know, it's like one built up a verse 11, saying to them which daub it with untempered mortar, that it shall fall, there shall be an overflowing shower, and ye, O great hailstones, shall fall, and a stormy wind shall rend it. So, you know, those who built up, you know, in a spiritual sense, you know, built up a foundation, you know, they built up the wrong foundation by following after these lies and especially following after the so-called Christianity. You know, that so-called spiritual wall of Christianity that they build up for themselves, that supposedly builds up their faith, it's all going to come crashing down because they're believing in the wrong thing. You know, they're following after a lie, and eventually the Lord is gonna I'm gonna get a verse 12. It says, "Lo, when the wall is fallen, shall it not be said unto you, where is the daubing wherewith ye have daubed it?" So, you know, where's that you know, that reinforcement, you know, that that firmness. You know, as for us that believe in this truth, you know, we have a foundation built, but at the same time we have to reinforce that foundation by hardening it with our faith and by the truth here. But these people, they they build a wall and they daub it with the wrong teaching, the wrong doctrine. And it's and you know, and the thing is that their worldly religions and ideologies and philosophies, they're all being disproven by the word, being debunked day after day, week after week. They're just being debunked on a daily basis. Okay. Okay, let me go to verse 15. Well, no, verse 14. Ezekiel 13 and 14. So will I break down the wall that ye have daubed with untempered mortar, and bring it down to the ground, so that the foundation thereof shall be discovered. Okay, being exposed. And it shall fail, and ye shall be consumed in the midst thereof, and ye shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh. Verse 15. Thus will I accomplish my wrath upon the wall, and upon them that daubed it with untempered mortar. I will say unto you, the wall is no more, neither they that daubed it. So those that built their foundation or built that wall on a false doctrine, they're going to be, you know, exposed and taken down with that wall, as well as the ones who instilled them with that false foundation, you know, that false teaching. Okay. Verse 16. I'm gonna get verse 16. To wit, the prophets of Israel, which prophesy concerning Jerusalem, and which see visions of peace for her, and there is no peace, saith the Lord Yahweh. Okay, verse now this next scripture I'm about to get is Matthew 10 and 34, and it clearly says right here, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Okay, so Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is not coming back with peace and love and prosperity. No, he's going to bring war. Okay, that sword is parabolic for war, bloodshed, death. Okay, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, people are gonna really understand why he's gonna make people fear him. He's gonna make people know that, you know, that he's to be taken seriously. Okay, and like I said, a lot of people are gonna die, you know, So, you know, however, whenever, you know, you just got to keep your eyes open and be circumspect of the times, you know, whether it happened later this year or sometime next month or in September or whatnot, of when there's going to be mass death and all this other stuff going on. We do not know. But, you know, we're in that time where it's going to happen. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 15, and it says, the ancient and honorable, he is the head, okay? The elderly, and the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail, okay? So the head being he's at the top, he's in the front, he's leading the way, while the one that teacheth the lies, he's the tail, he's the one he's at the bottom, he's the base, the lowest of the low, he's the one that's behind, okay? No one is, I mean, anybody in their right mind is not going to follow a liar. They want to follow someone who speaks the truth. Verse 16. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. So, you know, as they say, let the blind lead the blind, right? Both shall fall into a ditch, roughly paraphrasing. Because, you know, you follow after those who follow after a false teaching or follow after a lie, you know, it's a dead end for them. You know, they're not going to get anywhere. All right. This is Philippians chapter 3, verse 17. And it says, brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example. Verse 18. For many walk, of whom I told you often, now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Hamashiach. Okay? So mark the individuals who are contrary to this truth, you know? Those that are enemies of the cross of Hamashiach, you know? Enemies of our Lord, Yahweh Shai. Those that hated him, that were against him. Those who do not abide in him do not abide in the Father, man. Okay? Verse 19. Verse 19. Whose end is destruction. Whose end is destruction. Whose power is their belly. Whose glory is in their shame. Who mind earthly things. Okay, so whose end is destruction. Whose power is in their belly. Okay, they're all about the world, man. They mind the earthly things, and their glory in their shame. You know, doing the abominable things that they do and don't have no shame about it. They think it's the greatest thing, the best feeling ever. Okay, then they do not know that what they do, you know, they don't realize that what they're doing is not something to be praised. It's not something that's praiseworthy. It's something to be humiliated about, something to be shameful for. But they don't see it that way because their mind is stuck in this world, man. Verse 20, Philippians 3 and 20. For our conversation is in heaven, for whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. So our conversation is in heaven. So, you know, we have those spiritual conversations. We don't speak in worldly ways like everybody else does. Okay? Ever since we came into this truth, not only does our demeanor, our attitude, and our personality change, but, you know, so does the way that we speak. Okay? That's part of applying wisdom and gaining wisdom, you know? And we also look for the Savior, the Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Verse 21, who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. So these vile bodies that we're in, this corrupt, you know, this corruptible flesh, okay? These bodies are feeble. They are filthy. Okay? You know, and Lord willing, that we are chosen, that we're of the elect, and that we get up out of here, and that we will be changed into those incorruptible bodies that are pure, perfect, clean, and will have the law, statutes, and commandments written in the inward parts, man, being perfect as we were intended to be. This is Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1. And it says, "Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord Yahweh." So, excuse me. So, woe unto the pastors, talking about these, as I said, these false prophets or false preachers, that speak of these worldly ways, or they add to the truth, or take away from it and try to fit it to their own agenda or their own needs and desires. Woe unto them. Okay. And that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, of my flock, saith the Lord. Okay, when you come into this truth, you have to guide the sincere, genuine, and humble listeners on the right direction. You can't. That's why, as I said before, 2 Timothy 2:15, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High. A workman needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So, study to show thyself approved, meaning, to study the ways of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai in the book. Study his ways, learn his ways. A workman that needeth not to be ashamed. Why? You don't need to be ashamed, because you got the truth. And we are standing boldly in the face of a perverse nation that call good evil and evil good. And that's and rightly dividing the word of truth, getting the truth out there, even though people will look at you different for it, but who gives a shit? We're not here to be people pleasers. Okay? We're not here to coddle your feelings or tell you those soft, sweet, good things. No, we're not here for that. We're here to tell you how it's supposed to be told. Okay? Whether you accept it or not, whether you don't like it, whether you hear or forbear. Okay? We're here to tell you like it is. Okay? And if you can't get with the program, then just keep it moving. This isn't for you. Ultimately, you're gonna die in your unfaithfulness and in your worldly ways, man. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 2. And it says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai of Israel, against the pastures that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith the Lord." So, those who have, led the flock astray, the Lord's gonna pay you a visit, man. You're gonna get judged for that. Why? Because you misled, his people. You can't do that. And that's why that's why when you come into this, man, this is something that you have to take seriously from start to finish, And if you make a mistake, you got to make up for it somehow, some way, shape, or form, and be sincere about it. This is Jeremiah. I'm gonna drop down to chapter 23. I'm gonna drop down to verse 9, and it says, mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine hath overcome, because of the Lord Yahweh, and because of the words of his holiness. Verse 10, "For the land is full of adulterers, for because of swearing, and the land mourneth, the pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right." So, all these false prophets, man, they do wickedly in the sight of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Like Jeremiah said, my heart is, let me start over for verse 9. It says, "My heart within me is broken because the prophets. Okay, his mind is sorely vexed. It's just, it's just in a not in a good place, because the prophets, all my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine hath overcome. Okay, so it's just, it's a lot to bear. It's a lot to bear. Jeremiah was known as the weeping prophet for a reason, because his people, they just didn't want to do right, and they gotta pay a horrible judgment for it. And like the land is full of adulterers, and this land mourneth, the pleasant place, the wilderness are dried up. This place is definitely the valley of the dry bones. I mean, look at it here. This America, aka Babylon, this place is just, all I gotta say, it's just death here. That's all it is. It's just death. Verse 11, Jeremiah 23:11. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yeah, in my house have I found their wickedness, saith the Lord. So both prophet and priest, okay, are profane. They're wicked. And the Lord hath found their wickedness. Verse 12. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein. For I will bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, saith the Lord. So, okay, so their ways, following after their own lusts and desires, eventually it's gonna catch up to them, and they're gonna slip and fall. It's as the Lord said, He shall come as a thief in the night. And when you look up that word night in the blue letter, it goes into moral stupidity. The Lord's gonna catch you when you least expect it. Okay, and He will. And a lot of these people they just don't see, they don't know what's coming. They really don't. Verse 13, and I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal and caused my people Israel to err. So, prophesying, that spiritual idolatry, following after false gods made of wood and stone or whatever. Okay. And we're not, in the book of Exodus, it says that, thou shalt have no other gods before me. All right. And what have our people have done? They've done that so many times over. Verse 14. I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem an horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none doth return from his wickedness. They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah. And Sodom and Gomorrah, like, look at what America is coming forth out with more now so than ever, with the whole rainbow crew crap, and and as well as adultery. People always be sleeping around with everybody else. Like there's no care for or shame in that. They just got that Aleister Crowley spirit, that doest thou wilt. Basically, just do whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want, do whatever you want, feel however you want. That's the spirit of this place, man. And it's that very philosophy is what poisons people's minds, man. Verse 15. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and that wormwood is a metaphor for bitterness, and make them drink the water of gall, which is a metaphor for poison. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. Okay. Verse 16, thus saith the Lord of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you, they make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of my mouth, out of the mouth of the Lord Yahweh. So once again, that the whole thing about divination, practicing that witchcraft and shit, following after ways of the world and other certain heathen practices, that's that witchcraft, that sorcery, okay? And the Lord told us before that, we're not supposed to be doing that stuff, Jeremiah, he said, learn not the way of the heathen. And yet I look at what our people still do to this very day. They still practice those heathen customs. And we tell them time and time and time and time and time and time and time again to stop. Okay, verse 17, they say still unto them that despise me, Yahweh hath said, ye shall have peace. And they say unto everyone that walketh after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. So that peace and prosperity doctrine that so-called Christianity promotes, that so-called Jesus coming back to bring peace on earth. No, he's not. Okay, and plus Jesus, that's a false idol anyway. Okay, when you bring the word, when you say that name Jesus, what comes to mind? The image of a so-called white man? And we've told you multiple times that Jesus is a Greek name. Okay? It's not Hebrew. It's not the true name. The true name is Yahweh Shai, and he is a so-called black man. And you can look that up in the book of Revelations. Okay? The first chapter. With white woolly hair, not pale skin, and brown hair and blue eyes. Okay? Okay, this is Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 18. For who hath stood in the counsel of the Lord, and hath perceived and heard his word? Who hath marked his word and heard it? 19. Behold, a whirlwind of the Lord is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. Okay? So Yahweh by Shem El Shai is going to bring that fierce wrath, man. Sword, famine, pestilence, wild beasts, and ultimately those ICBMs, which is going to burn this place to absolute nothingness. Okay? Verse 20, and it says, the anger of the Lord Yahweh shall not return until he have executed, until he have performed the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days ye shall consider it perfectly. Okay? We shall consider it because we know that this place is going to be destroyed, and we have to consider the fact that, we have to take a lot of things into consideration. Not only are we going to be hated and persecuted for truth's sake, but when all hell breaks loose, we have to consider that we're going to lose everything. Our families, our livelihood, our jobs, our cars, our homes, even our own lives, if necessary, if it be the Lord's will. We have to consider the fact that, Yahweh B'Shem El Shai is about to let loose on this place. He's about to really start tearing shit up. Okay? This is going to be the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 11. And it says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Okay, so Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, he keeps his word. He never goes back on his word. He's not a man that he should lie. Okay? Whatever his word says, it's going to happen. He's a man of action. This is going to be back to Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, verse 21. And it says, I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. 22. But if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doings. Okay? So if these false prophets were real prophets, they wouldn't be doing the things that they're doing by, leading the flock astray, teaching certain things like the MOTB is not the micro C hip, it's sin or sleeping with Edomite women or whatever, or having sex on the Sabbath or smoking weed. You're partying on a solemn assembly. You can't, they wouldn't be doing all that if they were real prophets. Okay, this is Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 23. It says, "Am I a power at hand, saith the Lord, and not a power afar off?" Okay, the Lord is about, the Lord is about now. He's not afar off, meaning he's about at hand, meaning, I'm gonna bring the business now. I'm not gonna hold my peace, He's about getting the job done. He's not going to procrastinate either. Verse 24, "Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, saith the Lord? Do not I fill heaven and earth, saith the Lord?" So, the Lord, he sees and knows what you're doing every day, 24/7. He sees and knows what you're doing. He knows what you're thinking. He knows what you're going to do. Okay, you cannot escape him. 25, "I have heard what the prophet said, that prophesied lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed. 26, "How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yeah, they are prophets of deceit of their own heart." 27, "Which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams, which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal." So, these false prophets are the same people from back then that are back here through the reincarnation. They're back here today doing the same thing that they were doing back then, and they're doing it again right now, which is teaching the wrong doctrine, leading the people astray, fitting the word to their own personal agendas, making a mockery of the Most High, following after the oppressor, chasing the bag, leaning upon their own understanding, thinking that, establishing their own righteousness. Verse 28, "The prophet that hath a dream, let him tell a dream, and he that hath my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the chaff to the wheat, saith the Lord?" Okay, so what is the chaff to the wheat? The chaff is basically the undesirables, the undesirable leftovers. The wheat is the precious grain that the Lord keeps. Lord willing that we are the wheat and not, that we're not being sifted like the chaff, like the rest of the garbage. Lord willing that we are those desirables that the Lord is, looking after. So this is going to be verse 29. "Is not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord, like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces?" Verse 30, "Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor." 31, "Behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that use their tongues and say, he saith." So this word it's like a double-edged sword. It can cut through the bone and the marrow and through the spirit of others, but it can also cut you if you're not careful. So that's why, we have to really discipline ourselves and meditate upon this word, and, not get caught up in the world and end up being, not end up choking on the word and becoming unprofitable to ourselves. If we're going to be true teachers of this word, we have to lead by example, by the scriptures, and then not go off of our own understanding, because that's going to cause us to fall and slip, and then it's not going to be a good look. All right. Verse 32, it says, Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, saith the Lord, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies, and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them, therefore they shall not profit this people at all, saith the Lord. And when this people, or the prophet, or a priest, shall ask thee, saying, What is the burden of the Lord? Thou shalt then say unto them, What burden? I will even forsake you, saith the Lord. Okay? So the Lord is going to forsake these false, lying prophets. And, they ask, what burden? What is the burden, To suffer for his sake, right? To preach this gospel and to bear our cross, according to our lot, because when you come into this, you got to understand that, standing in the face of the multitude, we are to be a spectacle, right? We are fools for Hamashiach's sake, We have to face being mocked and scoffed at, and people saying all sorts of vile things against us, threatening us, is bearing that cross, man, for the truth's sake, because we live in a world that's completely full of lies, man. Like I said earlier, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil. And that's the society that we're living in nowadays. Evil is good, but, when you speak truth and good, you're seen as evil. So, you have to, that's part of counting the cost. What are you willing to count the cost for to keep this truth, Are you willing to count the cost of, having your own family members turn against you? People are friends or former friends or acquaintances, they're going to look at you different, start talking shit behind your back and saying, oh, he's about this now. He ain't with what we used to be with anymore. You have to be willing to lose your livelihood, everything. Verse 34, and as for the prophet and the priest and the people that shall say, the burden of the Lord, I will even punish that man in his house. Okay? Verse 35, Salakia. Verse 35, not 25, 35, thus shall ye say every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, what hath the Lord Yahweh answered, and what hath the Lord spoken? Verse 36, and the burden of the Lord shall ye mention no more, for every man's word shall be his burden. For ye have perverted the words of the living power, and the Lord Yahweh of hosts our power. And that's what these false prophets have done. They pervert the gospel, man. And they don't realize the ramifications of what it's going to cost them. They don't understand the ramifications of what it's going to cost them for their falsehood. Verse 37, thus shalt thou say to the prophet, what hath the Lord answered thee, and what hath the Lord spoken? Verse 38, but since ye say the burden of the Lord, therefore thus saith the Lord, because ye say this word, thy burden of the Lord, and I have sent unto you, saying, ye shall not say the burden of Yahweh. So I get that here. Verse 39, therefore behold, I, even I, will utterly forget you, and I will forsake you in the city that I gave you and your fathers, and cast you out of my presence. 40, I will bring an everlasting reproach upon you, and a perpetual shame, which shall not be forgotten. Okay? So, so the everlasting approach, and that perpetual shame, this is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 2, and it says, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And Lord willing that we awake to everlasting life, and we're not on the side of the 2/3, which is shame and everlasting contempt. You know, we want that true everlasting life and joy, you know, true pure joy, that, you know, we suffered all of this hell, and, you know, with this, you know, as Isaiah 33:6, thy wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So it's the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai that's going to help us make it through this. Nothing else. Okay, Daniel 12:3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Okay, so those who are righteous, okay, we're going to lead people in that right direction. We're going to have, and those that are wise, you know, we're going to have that certain shine about us, you know, because we are the light of the world. We are to set the example, the right example for the followers and the sincere listeners. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 9, and it says, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Verse 10, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Okay, that's what these wacky-tacky Christian pastors do, and these other Israelite groups that are going off. They don't want to tell you like it is. They don't want to tell you what you need to hear. They want to tell you what they want you to hear. They want to tell you what you want to hear, which is those smooth, sweet things that make you feel good. You know, this truth is not all about making you feel good, man. There's going to be times where this truth is going to make you feel like shit. There'll be times when this truth is going to really just cut you to the core, make you break down in tears. And yes, there are times when the truth has those moments where you laugh, and, you know, it lifts your spirit up, strengthens you, but, you know, it's part of the process of, you know, breaking you down of your old habits and building you back up. You know, I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. You know, I've been cut by the word multiple times, and, you know, call hello Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, that the Lord has had mercy on me thus far to keep me going. Verse 11, get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Verse 12, wherefore thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. 13, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out of a high wall, those breaking cometh suddenly in an instant. Okay? You know, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them as travail upon a womb of child, and they shall not escape, right? So, they prophesy of peace and safety, but, you know, that's at that time when the Lord's going to come like a thief in the night, in a time of moral stupidity where everyone thinks it's going to be okay, when it's really not going to be okay. It's going to be very, very bad. Verse 14, and it says, and he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it a shard to take fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. Okay, so you know, like I said, you know, like going back to that, you know, the pot, like breaking like the potter's vessel, right? Like going back to how when we started in Ezekiel about that wall, and you daub it with untempered mortar. You know, you build it on a foundation, but on a foundation of lies and deceit, you know, and the Lord is going to tear that shit down. He's going to expose you for what it is, and then you're going to feel that shame, and then ultimately you're going to have to get dealt with. This is Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 7. And it says, how shall I pardon thee for this? Thy children have forsaken me, and have sworn by them that are no gods. When I had fed them to the full, they then committed adultery, and assembled themselves by troops in the harlot houses. And those harlots' houses are those damn churches. those man-made churches. We've turned our back on the Lord after all that he's done for us. Rescued us out of Egypt, fed us in the wilderness, gave us what we needed to survive. And this is how we repaid him, with our disobedience. And now you know why. Now you know why we're in the position that we're in right now. Still going through this hell, even though it's almost over, but this hell is about to become a hell of a lot worse. Verse 8, they were as fed horses in the morning, everyone neighed after his neighbor's wife. So, they were all taken care of, but, we were still doing the wrong things, committing adultery, idolatry, as well as eating abominable food and other things. Verse 9, shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord Yahweh, and shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? Verse 10, go ye up upon her walls, and destroy, but make not a full end. Take away her battlements, for they are not of the Lord, or they are not the Lord's. Verse 10, for the house of Israel and the house of Judah shall have dealt very treacherously against me, saith the Lord. In verse 12, they have belied the Lord and said, it is not he, neither shall evil come upon us, neither shall we see sword or famine. Okay, so Israel did all this abominable shit, disobeying and disrespecting Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, that they didn't think that no evil was going to come upon them. But, the Lord proved them time and time again that, if you're not going to listen, I'm going to have to punish you for this. Okay? Verse 13, and the prophets shall become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall it be done unto them. Verse 14, wherefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai host, because ye speak this word, behold, I will make my words in thy mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. So they'll be like a stubble, and our mouth will be like a flame of fire. It's going to burn them. All right. I'm gonna drop down to verse 23. It says, "But this people have a revolting, or another word for revolting is disgusting, and a rebellious heart. They are revolted and gone." 24. Neither say they in their heart, let us now fear the Lord Yahweh, our power, that giveth rain, both the former and the latter, in his season. He reserveth us until the appointed weeks of the harvest. Okay? We don't take accountability and, warn our people that we have to fear our power. These false prophets, they don't warn the people that, to fear the Lord, because he's the one that's in control of all things. He's the one that gives us everything that we need or want. Okay? Salakia. And verse 25 says, your iniquities have turned away these things, and your sins have withholden good things from you. Yeah, so basically just like how you treat your own child. If they do bad things or do stupid shit, you're going to punish them. You're not going to reward them. You're going to punish them. You're not going to give them the good things that they deserve because they're not being obedient, they're not behaving, they're misbehaving. And verse 26, for among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait, as he that setteth snares, they set a trap, they catch men. Exactly. And that's the 2/3, man. Because they trust in this world and they trust in the powers that be of this world. The oppressors, man. Verse 28. Verse 27. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxen rich. Yeah. Because, this is, because the Lord is not dealing with the proud and those that chase the bad. He's dealing with the poor and the lowly, the meek and the humble. And, you know, the meek and the humble, they don't have nothing. But those who chase the bag, are trying to make a name for themselves, yeah, they're all about this world. And they seek, and they get what they want. But at the end of the day, it's going to be to their own destruction, you know. When they stand before the Lord, you know, when they have to answer, you know, was it worth it? In the end, was this worldly fame, worldly riches, was teaching these lies and deceit and these vain philosophies, was it really all worth you getting put to shame like this? Was it really worth it? Verse 28, and it says, they are waxen fat, they shine, yeah, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless, yet they prosper, and the right of the needy do they not judge. So the 2/3 of our people have already surpassed the wicked. They surpassed Esau, Edom in doing abominable things. Hell, these 2/3 Jakes, they'll do things that even Esau wouldn't even dare to do or even think of doing. With the wickedness the 2/3 be doing nowadays, Esau be looking at them like, no. All right, and you know, and they don't, in the 2/3, they don't care for their own people. They're just like the wicked, just like how Esau, Edom doesn't give a shit about his people. Jake, 2/3, they don't give a shit about the 2/3. Don't give a shit about the 2/3 because they'll turn on each other in a heartbeat, and they sure as hell don't give a shit about those that are, you know, that are willing to leave this world behind and repent. So yeah, they've definitely surpassed the wicked. Verse 29, shall I not visit for these things, saith the Lord Yahweh? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? So, you know, for all the disrespect and disobedience, and not only that, but the, you know, bringing shame to the Lord's name and his reputation, you don't think the Lord is going to bring about a harsh judgment? And Lord willing that we're not of the 2/3 that's going to get that harsh judgment, because pursuant to roughly paraphrasing 1 Peter 4:17, judgment must first start at the house of the Most High. If it first begin at us, you know, what will become of them that obey not the gospel, roughly paraphrasing. So Israel's going to get it first. They're going to get this serious ass open first. Then the other nations right behind us are going to follow. Verse 30, a wonderful and horrible thing is committed in the land. 31, the prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means, and my people love to have it so, and what will you do in the end thereof? Okay, so a wonderful and horrible thing. Okay, so the horrible thing is that, you know, they're prophesying lies and deceit. But, you know, the wonderful thing about it is that, you know, for us, you know, that those that are true and sincere, you know, we're not going to shed a single fucking tear for these 2/3. Not a single tear. For one, for all the bullshit they have done in siding with the oppressor against their own people. You know? We don't care for the 2/3. To hell with them. They want to be a part of this society and a part of this world, fine. You can have it. Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 1. And it says, and it came to pass the same year, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, in the 4th year, and in the 5th month, that Hananiah, the son of Azur, the prophet, which was of Gibeon, spake unto me in the house of the Lord, in the presence of the priests, and of all people, saying, verse 2, thus speaketh the Lord, Yahweh hosts, the power of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke of the king of Babylon. Verse 3, within 2 full years will I bring again into the place all the vessels of the Lord's house, that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took away from this place, and carried them to Babylon. Verse 4, and I will bring them again to this place, Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, with all the captives of Judah that went into Babylon, saith the Lord, for I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Okay, this is what Hananiah all right, so this is verse 5. Then the prophet Jeremiah said unto the prophet Hananiah, in the presence of the priests and in the presence of all the people that stood in the house of the Lord Yahweh. Verse 6, even the prophet Jeremiah said, Amen. Yahweh do so. Yahweh perform thy words which thou hast prophesied, to bring again the vessel of the Lord's house, and all that is carried away captive from Babylon into this place. Verse 7, nevertheless, hear thou now this word that I speak in thine ears, and in the ears of all the people. In verse 8, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied against both many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. You know, and is that not what we're doing right now? You know, where the prophets of old have done this, and here we are again. So, you know, we're doing, you know, this is our lot, you know, Lord willing, you know, we be of the elect, but as prophets, this is our lot. We're prophesying of these things to many countries, great kingdoms, nations, war, and of evil and of pestilence. And you see these things happening. Verse 9, the prophet which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord Yahweh hath truly sent him. Verse 10, then Hananiah the prophet took the yoke from off the prophet Jeremiah's neck and brake it. Verse 11, Hananiah spake in the presence of all the people, saying, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, even so will I break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, from the neck of all nations within the space of 2 full years. And the prophet Jeremiah went his way. Verse 12, then the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto Jeremiah the prophet, after that Hananiah the prophet had broken the yoke from off the neck of the prophet Jeremiah, saying, verse 13, go and tell Hananiah, saying, thus saith the Lord, thou hast broken the yokes of wood, but thou shalt make for them yokes of iron. 14, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the power of Israel, I have put a yoke of iron upon the neck of all these nations, that they may serve Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and they shall serve him, and I have given him the beasts of the field also. 15, then said the prophet Jeremiah unto Hananiah the prophet, hear now, Hananiah, the Lord hath not sent thee, but thou makest this people trust in a lie. So Hananiah, all that I just read was an example that Hananiah was a false prophet right there. The Lord hath not sent him to say those things. That's why the Lord told Jeremiah, you know, go tell Hananiah that he, you know, you're lying and you're causing these people, you're leading these people astray. Okay. Verse 16. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will cast thee from off the face of the earth. This year thou shalt die, because thou hast taught rebellion against the Lord. So Hananiah was a false prophet, and so he had to pay for telling a lie and leading the people astray. So verse 17, so Hananiah the prophet died the same year in the 7th month. Jeremiah 14 and 13. Then said I, Lord Yahweh, behold, the prophets say unto them, ye shall not see the sword, neither shall ye have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. Verse 14, then the Lord Yahweh said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I sent them not, neither have I commanded them, neither spake unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination, and a thing of naught, and the deceit of their heart. 15, therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, and I sent them not, yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine shall those prophets be consumed. So those that, you know, preach peace and prosperity when there's not going to be no prosperity, as I read previously in Matthew 10 and 34, that the Lord, is bringing a sword. He's come to bring a sword. He's coming to bring death, man. So if you're out here preaching peace and safety and prosperity when there's not going to be no peace and prosperity and safety, you're going to end up dead by the sword, man. However the Lord is going to take you out. Okay, verse 16, and the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them, their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour out their wickedness upon them. So verse 17, therefore thou shalt say this word unto them, let mine eyes run down with tears night and day, and let them not cease. For the virgin daughter of my people is broken with a great breach, and a very grievous blow. 18, if I go forth into the field, then behold the slain with the sword. And if I enter into the city, then behold them that are sick with famine. Yeah, both the prophet and the priest go about into a land that they know not. So, Jeremiah wept, because his people were getting that judgment, man. Believing in a lie and following a lie. This is Lamentations 2 and 14. It says, thy prophets have seen vain and foolish things for thee, and they have not discovered thine iniquity, to turn away thy captivity, but have seen for thee false burdens and causes of banishment. Okay? Going back to seeing vain and foolish things for thee, for they have not discovered thine iniquity, and to turn away thy captivity. They, once again, going into those lies and deceits and divination, which is nothing but witchcraft and sorcery, it's because that we haven't turned away from our, we haven't been able to, it hasn't been easy for us because we are a rebellious nation or a rebellious house. The false burdens and the cause of banishment, that's once again speaking those lies and all those saying things in the Lord's name when the Lord has not even spoken to these people to tell them this stuff, to tell them what is really to be said and done. This is Zechariah chapter 10 verse 2. And it says, for the idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie, and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore they went their way as a flock. They were troubled, because there was no shepherd. Okay? And the false idols have spoken vanity. Well, those false gods, they're vain, man, made of wood and stone. They can't speak, walk, talk. They can't walk, talk, see or hear or move. So, and the diviners, those who are in that witchcraft, they've seen a lie and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain. Okay? Therefore, they went their way as a flock. They were troubled because there was no shepherd. Yeah, there was no shepherd. They didn't have the guidance that they needed. Okay? In this day and age, the saying goes, truth hurts, but lies heal. And that describes this type of society that we live in, because the truth hurts people. They can't take it, but when you speak a lie to them, it's especially a comforting lie. I guess it covers that grief, makes them feel better. But at the end of the day, when they figure out that it was just all a lie, that's just going to make them feel even worse. Zechariah 10 and 3, it says, mine anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For the Lord of hosts hath visited his flock, the house of Judah, and hath made them his goodly horse in the battle. So his anger was kindled in the shepherds, okay? Those that were, supposed to lead the flock, in the right direction, but they weren't. And the goat, the goats, talking about, Salakia. Malachi chapter 3, verse 5. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. So all those who do those things that are against the Lord, he's coming with a swift judgment, a swift, harsh, and terrible judgment. And no matter how many times you try to rebuke them or correct them and tell them, like, look, what you're doing is wrong. This is how you're supposed to do it. But they're not going to listen because they're so puffed up with their own pride. Proverbs 16 and 18, pride goeth before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. And, that's the type of society that we live in nowadays. It's just a society of very, very prideful people that think that they can't do no wrong. They think, they think they're better than everybody else. They also have that self-entitled attitude, thinking that they have a right to this and a right to that. Thinking they're somebody important or somebody of high status, and it's going to eventually come a point in time in this land where pride is going to cease and humility will increase. The Lord is going to do a serious humbling of people's spirits out here. Okay, this is Matthew 7 and 15. And it says, beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. So just like how the devil comes at you all sweetly, these false prophets, 2/3 of our people, they'll do the same thing. They'll approach you sweetly, but inwardly they got their own ulterior motives. And those motives are not good. Verse 16, ye shall know them by their fruit. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? So you're going to know them by their actions, how they conduct themselves, and how they move. Verse 17, even so every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them, so by their actions and their deeds. 21, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. 20, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And this is the scary part. Verse 23, Matthew 7:23. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. That one cold, harsh rejection that's going to tear you to the core. I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. That right there should be more than enough to instill that fear in you, man. This is why you have to fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, With all truth and sincerity and genuineness, we're doing the best that we can to our ability to seek his acceptance. Okay, now I'm going to go to Matthew, the 24th chapter, verse 7. And it says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And you're seeing that now. And it's happening now more so than ever. Look at what's going on in Europe. You know, Europe is pretty much turning into like a purge-like state, practically almost on the verge of a complete civil war. Famines. You can see other countries, you know, they're going through food and resource shortages, not having any food to feed their kids, nothing. Pestilence, disease, you know, and earthquakes in diverse places. You know, Japan and a few other places that have been hit by earthquakes. You know, all these signs, man. The Lord has given you signs that we're in that time where if you don't get right, you're gonna get wasted like the rest of these people out here, man. This is not the time to be playing games. All right, verse 8. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Right now, this is just the beginning. We haven't even gotten to the middle yet. Verse 9. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated for all nations for my name's sake. Okay, this is what the true prophets are going to have to go through. We're going to have to deal with persecution. Okay, there's going to come a point in time where they're going to send the authorities after us. I mean, or whenever, when Jacob's trouble goes into full effect, they're going to send, they're going to send their men after the prophets. Okay, for persecution, labeling us terrorists, saying that everything that's going on is your fault. You're the reason why all this is happening. Verse 10, then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Okay, it's going to get to a point where people are, in fact, let me get the scripture out of the book here. Let's see here. I think it's Timothy. This is gonna. I skipped it. Slovakia. See, that's not it. Yep. So this is gonna be 1 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 1, and it says here. 1 Timothy 4:1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Okay, that's part of the Lord doing a great sifting out those He doesn't want, sifting out those who are, not true believers, or they're just undecided, or they don't know. It's either you are with the Lord and you believe in Him fully, or you're not. There's no in between. You have to pick a side now. Who are you going to stand with? Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, or are you going to stand with the world? In verse 2, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, forbidden to marry. Let's see. So, this is and that's part of the and this is what's going to happen, man, because people are going to here we go. 2 Timothy, this is what I was looking for. 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 1, and it says, this how This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Verse 2, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, meaning that, people are only looking out for number one. They don't give a fuck about anybody else but themselves. Covetous, desiring other people's goods. Boasters, bragging this and that. Proud, prideful, blasphemous, being abominable, disobedient to parents, unthankful, ungrateful, unholy, just downright evil. Excuse me. Verse 3, without natural affection, truce breakers, people that don't keep their word, false accusers, deceivers, liars, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. Okay? So without natural affection, that means that there's not going to be no genuine love from these people. They're just going to pretend to care for you, but really they're only dealing with you because either you got something that they want, or they're using you as a stepping stone or as a pawn for their own personal gain. Verse 4, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the Most High. Verse 5, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. Okay? So people, when that time comes, man, these people are going to really show their true colors. For the people that you once thought that were your friends, or even your family members or acquaintances, co-workers, when the Lord uses this devil to put this tight squeeze on humanity and causes, all hell to break loose, you're going to see people's true colors and how they really feel and what they really think. Okay? Don't be surprised if your family members try to fuck you over. Don't be surprised if this one person that you thought was your best friend, now he becomes your worst enemy and he's trying to kill you. Excuse me. Okay? People are going to start turning against one another, man. Friends are going to become enemies. Families are going to become enemies. It's going to get to a point where you cannot trust anybody. You cannot trust nobody. The only people you can trust is the Lord and the brotherhood. But ultimately, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because he's the one that's going to get you through it all. And remember, like I said, some shall depart from the faith. So there's going to be some brothers and sisters that are going to say, fuck. And it's like, fuck this. I give up. And those are the people you're going to have to watch out for, because if they give up on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and his word, man, and, as the scriptures say, he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So if you give up on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, what? That's it, man. You pretty much just said, okay. The Lord is pretty much saying, okay, fuck you. Since you don't have faith in me that I can get you out of this mess. And that's the thing that we all have to be aware of. This is going to be a really trying time. Matthew chapter 24, verse 13. Here we go. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So we have to endure all the hardship that this hell is about. We have to endure all the hardship that is to come from this hell that the Lord is about to unleash. Verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. So, no, nor ever shall be. Verse 22, not and except those days shall be shortened, there should be no flesh, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Lord willing that we are of the elect, that those, and those days be shortened, that the Lord make a way for us out of that. Verse 23, then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Hamashiach, or there, believe it not. 24, for there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Verse 25, behold, I have told you before. 26, wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, here he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. 27, for as the beginning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Verse 28, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. Okay. Okay, this is going to be Luke 6 and 26. Woe unto you when all men shall speak well of you, for so did their fathers to the false prophets. So if people speak well of you, you're not teaching the right thing. Because when you teach the right thing, people are going to look at you differently. They're not going to speak well of you. They're going to say that you're an asshole, or you don't know what you're talking about, or you're a false prophet. You're evil. You're speaking hate. And all that. 2 Peter 2 and 1. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring them upon themselves swift destruction. Verse 2, and many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. So, the truth in their eyes is going to be evil, but in their own pernicious ways, it's going to seem right to them. See, people try to twist this truth to fit their own agendas to what they think is right, leaning off of their own understanding, their emotions. Verse 3, and through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. Okay? Verse 4, for if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. So we're in these chains of darkness right now, this physical flesh, okay? This feeble flesh that we're in right now, it's a prison, okay? We're being trained up so we can get out of this prison to be the people that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai has called us to be. Okay? The reason why we're in these feeble bodies is because we need to learn a valuable lesson. Verse 5, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the 8th person, and a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly. So Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai did all these wondrous yet terrifying works, to make these people an example. He made them an example as to why we should fear him. Why we should fear him at all times. Verse 7, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. So yes, Lot, when he was in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? He was vexed because just the people that he was around and their conversations and the things that they did, he was vexed sore. Like, he hated the place. Like, there's not a single ounce of righteousness in those people. So he had to get away. The Lord told him to take his wife and his 2 daughters and get out of there. Verse 8, for that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. 9, verse 9, the Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly out of temptations, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh, in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government, presumptuous are they, self-willed, they are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Verse 11, whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusations against them before the Lord. Okay? Verse 12, but these as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. Okay? Remember in my last camp lesson, the Lord compares us to brute beasts. You know why? Because, look, because if you look how the way certain beasts act, it can be likened unto, we can be likened to. And, we're just wild, rebellious, and, we're gonna die in the people that are called beasts, they're gonna die in their own corruption. Okay? They're just in the people here in America, they're nothing but beasts too, because they do all these abominable things. They're against the order of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. They don't want to listen to the right things. They don't want to listen to correction. They just want to do whatever the hell they want. Okay. Verse 12. But these, verse 13, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness, as they that count it pleasure to write in the daytime. In the daytime spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feast with you. 14. Having eyes full of adultery, and that cannot cease from sin, beguiling unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children. 15. Which have forsaken the right way, and are gone astray, following the way of Balaam, the son of Basor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness. Verse 16, but was rebuked for his iniquity, the dumbass speaking with man's voice forbade the madness of the prophet. Okay? So all this, these so for all the unrighteousness that is done in the land, just like as with Sodom and Gomorrah and back in the time with Noah, it all has to be purged. But this time, the Lord's going to use it with fire, thermonuclear fire. He's not going to use it with water. Okay? He's going to burn this place. He's going to burn this place to a complete crisp. Slakia, my allergies have been acting up. Verse 17, these are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. Okay? That mist of darkness, the judgment, that sore affliction, that extreme hardship. Verse 18, for when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness, those that were clean, escaped from them who live in error. Dropping down to verse 20. For if they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, they are again entangled therein and overcome. The latter end is worse with them than the beginning. Okay. Verse 21, for it had been better for them to have not known the way of righteousness than, after they have known it, to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them. So it would be better for you to not have known in the first place than to have known and then have to have turned away from it. Because you coming into this, and then you start getting more and more into it, and all of a sudden you turn your back and go the opposite direction. That's like a slap in the face to the Lord. It would have been better for you not to have known what was going on. It would have been better for you to have been, ignorant of it, than to known better, but yet you still did the wrong thing. Okay, verse 22, but it has happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog has turned to his own vomit again, and the sow, which is a pig, that was washed her wallowing in the mire. So, You know, as a dog is supposed to obey his master, right? Yeah, he turned from his master and go right back to doing whatever it was he was doing. You know, that's how, you know, that could be likened to how the children of Israel are, especially the 2/3. You know, they heard the word, but they you know, they just kind of, they heard it, okay, but they didn't really listen, they didn't hearken, so they just went about doing their own thing again. 1 John 4:1, Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are gone out in the world. Verse 2, Hereby ye know the Spirit of the Most High, every spirit that confesseth that Yahushua HaMashiach has come in the flesh is of the Most High. Verse 3, And every spirit that confesseth not that Yahushua HaMashiach is come in the flesh is not of the Most High. And this is that spirit of anti-Hamashiach, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world. And that's the majority of our people, you know. Like I said, we're not here for everybody. We're only out here for the elect. Okay? Revelation 16:13, And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon and out of the mouth of the beast. You know, and that that beast, I was watching a video from Elder Apostle Tahar, GMS Declaring the End. He did a Revelation 16 complete breakdown, and in the mouth of the dragon, the beast. That's talking about the Roman Empire back then. That was the first dragon. This right here is the next. This here is the second dragon, and that's this beast system, NATO and the EU, along with America. You know, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Okay, verse 14, For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which goeth forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them into the battle of the great day of the power almighty. Okay, and how do these devils have these miracles? Through their technology, their military in DC, their religious sector, which is the Vatican, and the monetary system, the money system, which is in London, right? Those are their ways of how they control the people. Money, military, and religion. So, like, I know it's getting a little dark, so I'm about to finish here. Verse 15. It says, Behold, I come as a thief in the night. Come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth, and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. So you got to be constantly watching, be aware, otherwise you'll be caught off guard. Okay, because the Lord will come as that thief in the night, and He will catch you unaware. So you got to stay on your P's and Q's with this. Verse 16, He gathered them together into a place called the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, which is the mountain of troops. Revelation 19:19, And I saw the beast, and the things of the earth, and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. Verse 20, And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with he deceived them that had received the MOTB, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. You know, the ICBMs, when those nukes hit this place, it's going to look like a burning lake of fire. And when they make war with the man that was on the horse, right? Let me see here. So that man on the horse, you know, and against his army, the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, talking about Yahushua and the heavenly host of angels. All right, 19 and 21. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Verse, okay. So, you know, Yahushua and the heavenly host, they're coming back here to do a lot of killing. You know, they're going to destroy these other heathen nations and their armies and their technology, right? A lot of people are going to, it's going to pretty much be a one-sided battle. And these heathen nations are going to lose miserably. Revelation 20:10, and the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Okay, so like I said, that the ICBMs, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, that's going to be that lake of fire here in America. And you know, ultimately, when these other heathen nations and the wicked go into captivity, for 1,000 years, you know, Esau, Edom is going to get the worst of it because he's the wicked. And you know, after 1,000 years, all these other heathen nations, they will receive mercy and they'll be able to return unto their lands, but they're going to be tributaries unto the Israelites once we're back in power. Okay? And Esau, Edom's going to be ultimately done away with forever. Okay? No more Edomites. So, I hope that this lesson was edifying unto the body and to those new coming in, listening and learning with all sincerity. I like to give all the honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. I know it's getting a little dark. Let's see here. There we go. There's a little bit more light right here. No, it's kind of hard to see. Okay, I like to give double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity, and unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning, and unto the Ba'ath Davadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad. I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharala, Wa Bababal, Shalawam, Barakatham.